42 and the 42 methodology, I think, is a really good preparation for this AI first world. The only requirements to join 42 are being over 18. Essentially, that's the only requirement. At 42, grades are basically binary. What that means is it's either a pass or a fail. What our students do and learn throughout the curriculum is through our peer-to-peer methodology, they spend a lot of time not only writing code, but also reading other people's code, talking about their code, justifying their code, doing peer evaluations, which is similar to peer reviews in a company. My name is Dan, and I'm the Pedagogical Director at 42 Berlin. I did study at 42. I studied at 42 Paris from 2016 until 2020, roughly. So I've been through the curriculum myself. I also worked a little bit as a software engineer. Now I'm working here at 42 Berlin. 42 really shaped me in a positive way. It gave me a lot of confidence in trying new things and not being afraid of failing in something that I don't already know. It gave me a lot of confidence to be able to always try doing new projects, learning new skills. I think that's the most important thing that 42 gave me. I chose 42 over a university because I already had a university degree, and I didn't really see myself going back into a university context. I was looking for something different, and just by chance, one of my friends mentioned this school called 42 that doesn't have any teachers, it doesn't have any classes, and it's something that just piqued my curiosity, so I thought I would try it out. So I showed up on day one for the PCN, which is the selection test, and I totally fell in love with it from day one. It clicked for me and it did something for me, and I realized that in the month of the PCN I had never learned so much in such a short amount of time. So I realized that it's probably something that I want to continue. For me, not having any teachers and not having any lectures really gave me the flexibility to work when I work best. There's a certain pace that you can create for yourself at 42, a certain rhythm, a certain momentum, and that doesn't depend on how fast your classmates are going. It doesn't matter if people are faster or slower than you. You can really decide for yourself how you learn best and when you learn best. So there were times where I wanted to delve deeper into a topic, and when I wanted to do so, I was able to, and other times where I just wanted to finish the project as fast as possible, then move on to something else. And I was also able to do this at 42. And what I realized is that I learn best not when I have a kind of teacher figure telling me what to do or what I should be learning, but rather finding out by myself what it is that I'm actually trying to learn. That for me is the biggest advantage of not having the teacher there. Of course, it doesn't come without its own problems. Sometimes you feel like you're missing the guide or the expert, but once you realize that you can get this information from the people around you, then this fear kind of goes away a little bit. Coding in times of AI has changed the game quite a lot. It's, I think now more than ever, it's important to not necessarily know the answers to everything, because we do have these tools which can make our workflow a lot faster in terms of finding these answers. But in order to find that answer, you need to really understand what is the question that we're trying to answer, what's the problem that we're trying to solve. And 42 and the 42 methodology, I think, is a really good preparation for this AI first world, in the sense that our students, they're not being taught a specific thing, they're not following a specific curriculum. What they're really learning to do is they're learning how to solve problems. They're always given new problems that they've never solved before, and it's down to them to come up with a solution. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter so much what the solution is. What's really important is going from A to B, so understanding how to get to that solution. And this is, for me, the best way that students become adaptable for this AI world, where more and more what we're seeing and what recruiters are looking for is not somebody who knows all the answers, but rather somebody who can creatively and with adaptability solve new problems. At 42, our projects are built as a sequence. So you start with a very small building block. That building block, as an analogy, might be to build a chair or a table, something relatively simple. And as you go through the curriculum, the problems that you're faced with, they're new and they're different. There's things that you won't have solved before. But if you reuse the knowledge that you've already gained, you can start to build bigger and better things. So as you go through the curriculum, you start to populate your house with different furniture, with a fridge, a bed, a cupboard, whatever it is that you want to build, and you build upwards like this. So it's what we attempt to do is always to push students just outside of their comfort zone. So they have a foot in one thing that they know and a foot in something that's completely unknown to them. So they have this base on which to build, and from there their goal is to overcome that hurdle and to really learn something new out of it. At 42, unlike in a university, for example, we're not going to give you a recipe on, follow these steps to be able to solve this problem, but we let the students come up with their own series of steps to solve the problem. And through this continuous practice of doing so, our students over time get better and better at solving problems that they've never solved before, which is what one needs today in the job market. Universities require, they have a whole admissions process. They sometimes require prior experience, prior degrees. They require you to have a certain amount of money for fees, for example. 42, we're very lucky to only require you being an adult. That's our only requirement. You need to be above 18, and then you can apply to 42. And what this means is that we're able to create spaces that are much more diverse. We get people from all different backgrounds, whether you know how to code or not, whether you have a degree or not, it really doesn't matter. What matters to us is whether you're able to come to 42 to flourish and to become a great software engineer. So we're able to actually capture many more great profiles that traditional educational systems tend to miss. What our students do and learn throughout the curriculum is through our peer-to-peer methodology. They spend a lot of time not only writing code, but also reading other people's code, talking about their code, justifying their code, doing peer evaluations, which is similar to peer reviews in a company. And throughout the curriculum, they build up a very strong ability and capability to take a problem, so an abstraction, turn it into code, and then be able to share that and present that to somebody else, which are pretty much exactly the skills that you do need in a job in an industry. And they do this across various different domains. So in our core curriculum, we introduce them to some networking, some security, graphics projects, web projects. What we want our students to be once they finish the core curriculum is the beginning of what we call a T-shaped profile. So somebody who has a very wide and broad range of skills throughout all of software engineering, but where, depending on their interest, they can then dive deeper into a particular topic. So if somebody wants to become, say, work in the video game industry, writing an AI algorithm for a computer character, that's something that they can do at 42, whilst also retaining the skill to then jump on other projects if they wanted to. Say if there's a problem with the networking or if there's a security flaw, a 42 student will also have the skill to then dive into that code to be able to understand it very quickly, to be able to debug it, to be able to collaborate with other software engineers also working on the team. From the very first day of the PCN, teamwork and collaboration is key. This is something that we communicate super clearly at the beginning. It's not a competition, but 42 is designed in such a way that everybody has to work together to get through the curriculum. for the little anecdote, maybe there's one project at 42 that you cannot validate, you can't complete it without having spoken to somebody who's already done the project, because there's a secret code that's part of it, which is only transferred through people who have completed the project. So sometimes it's actually built into the curriculum itself, where you can't complete things without speaking to other people. And for us, this is really like a core skill to learn, and something that's really, really crucial, because when you become a software engineer, you're not working in a silo, you're always working with other people. So at 42, the way that we've designed it is we have not only the peer evaluations that happen, not periodically once a year or once every 6 months. It's not like a feedback session that you get one-off, but it's every time that you submit a project, you need to get your code reviewed by at least 3 other students. So there's this constant interaction happening between students, and what students learn by doing this is how to not only give feedback but also receive feedback on their code. It's quite maybe humbling at first to have somebody tell you that your code is badly written or that it could be improved, but over time students learn the necessity of that and how to communicate with empathy on how to improve things and how to make their code better, which is really such an essential skill. So there's one part which is this peer evaluation and peer review part of 42, and then there's the other side of it, which is the group projects in themselves. And our group projects, they're usually designed to be too big for one person to complete by themselves in the allocated time. So what that requires then is for people to get together, break down a task so that it's in manageable slices, where both people or 3 people, 4 people, depending on the size of the group, can then complete these tasks independently and then learn how to bring it together. By doing this, they also learn how to use version control tools like Git. They learn how to do basic project management between each other, giving tasks to each other, understanding how to break down a big project into smaller pieces. And these skills are obviously also skills that are really, really essential to have in a company too. At 42, grades are basically binary. What that means is it's either a pass or a fail. And what we don't want to do is validate kind of partial learning or half understanding something. When you submit a project at 42, you get it evaluated by your peers, they will grade your work, and essentially the final mark is either you've passed the project or you need to retry it. So every time as you're going through the curriculum, you are actually implementing the theory that you've learned by yourself, and you're putting it into practice by writing it as a project. Often what happens at universities is you will have the materials that you will study for an exam, you will go and sit that exam and get a grade for it, and that grade might be 60%, and then you move on to the next module, which means that you're missing then 40% of the knowledge that was available to you, and that you could have then built on top of. At 42, as I said, it's always you need to gain that mastery, and only once you reach that 100% do you move on to the next project. Same for exams at 42. An exam at 42 is designed again as a pass-fail based off a 100% scale. So either you validated the knowledge, you get the 100%. If you don't, you get to repeat the exam. And you can basically sit exams as many times as you want at 42 until you manage to pass. So what we're really, really focused on here is learning mastery and not just rewarding partial learning. I really hope that after watching this, you're able to have some ideas on what we do here at 42 Berlin, and that maybe you will be able to find a space like this where you can learn best and where you can unlock opportunities of your own.